Greetings, champions. In a world where we have conflict, do you ever have conflict? Is everything perfect in your world? What about at home? How about the people that you serve? How about the church that you're at or the community? What about the world? What about your marriage? What about children? Do you ever have to deal with any kind of conflict? Today I want us to talk about how do we deal with conflict. One of the reasons we have conflict is because you have two sides opposing each other in views. Sometimes it comes to blows. Sometimes it comes to more than blows when you're dealing with countries and also with radical thinking. But what is the way that we are as a body of Christ, as champions? How should we deal with conflict? Well, we're actually told by Jesus, that I believe it was Jesus, that we should go to one another. Maybe it was Paul. Sometimes I don't get it exactly right the way I think about it, but you understand that. You don't either. Is that we are to go to that brother or sister and talk with them about the differences. And when we don't talk, things fester. Sometimes people say things they shouldn't say or do things they shouldn't do, and it gets worse and worse. In fact, conflict really is, I want things my way, or I believe this way, and you believe that way, and want things your way. And, one thing I've learned is that you can be disagreeable without arguing, without fighting, to understand that it's okay to have a different point of view. Even in our country, in America here, we have two opposing political positions. We have a Democrat side and we have a Republican side, and we have some others in between. And as we look at history, we can see how those sides have changed. You can see how one used to be one way and now is another. I know my family used to be on one side where we were part of one political position, and then we chose to change to a different one. Well, why do we do that? We do that because we look at, what do you believe? What do you stand for? What do you hold true? And that's just political. We've allowed the political to embrace good and evil in many cases. And yet we don't make changes. We just stay put. And often who I used to think was on my side is not even on my side at all. But let's get back to the real crux of the thing, is conflict. Champions, whether you're having a problem at home, whether it's at business, whether it's church, the longer you let that conflict fester, it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. And sometimes you actually are conflicted about something or someone, and they don't even know it. They don't realize it. And so today, at your table, wherever you are, I want you to talk about how do you deal with conflict, or do you? The worst thing you can do is ignore it. Yeah, I've heard stories and know stories where brothers and sisters have had a disagreement over different things, and a lot of times it's about inheritance, money. And my goodness, money in a family can be a big conflict, because you can have a lot in conflict over and you can have a little in conflict over. But I know a story or two where these brother and sister got into a conflict, and it was 40 years later they came together and realized how stupid it was. 40 years of not having a relationship because they just didn't talk. I'm not always right. Believe me, my wife will tell me you're not always right, and I understand that. I'm not always right. And I can make mistakes. I do make mistakes. So do you. And God, when we gave our life to Christ, we became a new creation. And the Word tells us that we are to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And so when these people say, well, that's just the way that I am, that's exactly right. You were born into sin and you still are a sinner, but you don't have to be captive by that sin. you can be transformed. And if you continue to say that's just the way that I am, it's obviously that's not God's way. And so you're going to be conflicted with a lot of people who are seeking to do it God's way. So my prayer for us today, my prayer for you today, is that at your tables or wherever you are, whoever you're talking to, whoever you're depending on for counsel, to talk about conflict. Do you talk about conflict to resolve, to understand that just talking is a start, and to do it with civility, to do it with a heart of honesty, and sometimes say, it's okay if you like this and I like this. And they're not the same thing. That's okay sometimes. You know, I may like blue, you may like green. Okay, doesn't matter. It's not worth allowing those differences to stop us from having relationship. What about you? Is anything that you're in conflict with hurting relationship with God? And by the way, the evidence of your relationship with God being real and honest and true is how your relationship is with people, how your relationship is with your spouse, with your children, because you can't say that I love God if you're not loving those around you. That's just not true. That's a conflict. You need to resolve it. So do I. God bless you. We're praying for you, and I pray that any conflict that you have, that you'll talk about it, you'll get together with those involved in it, and you'll do it in love and do it the way Jesus would have you do it. Linda and I love you. We're praying for you. We need your prayers. We thank you so much for your support and for your love. God bless you.